Good morning. Welcome back to Venture Daily. On today's show, Microsoft is gearing up to unleash its AI Copilot inside the Pentagon, marking what could be the largest deployment of generative AI in U.S. government history.
And in a stunning escalation, Israel bombed Iran's nuclear and military elite without U.S. backing, killing top generals and scientists and igniting what could be a high-stakes regional war. I'm Josiah Simons.
I'm Jackson Fordyce. It's Friday, June 13th. Let's get you smarter before your first meeting. It's not every day that your DNA ends up in bankruptcy court.
23andMe, yes, the company that said discover your heritage is now hearing from a lot of folks saying delete me immediately.
Since filing for bankruptcy in March, 1.9 million customers, about 15%, have asked the company to wipe their genetic data from its servers.
Why? Well, a pharma giant called Regeneron just offered $256 million to buy 23andMe and all those juicy DNA records to help make new drugs.
Which sounds cool until you remember. All right, 23andMe had a massive data breach last year and blamed users for not turning on two-factor authentication.
Now more than 24 states are suing to stop the sale, saying you can't just sell people spit records without asking them first.
Lesson here, when a company says they're going to help you learn about your ancestors, read the fine print. Your future might be on the auction block.
All right, before we jump into today's headlines, I want to tell you about Public. If you take investing seriously, you need to know about public.com. That's where you can invest in everything: stocks, options, bonds, crypto. You can even earn some of the highest yields in the industry, like the 7% or higher yield you can lock in with a bond account. Public is a FINRA-registered, SIPC insured platform that takes your investments as seriously as you do. Fund your account in 5 minutes or less at public.com/venture and get up to $10,000 when you transfer your old portfolio, paid for by Public Investing.
Yes.
Full disclosures in the podcast description below. Click on our link in the description, public.com/venture. The app is great. We fully endorse it.
We love Public. We love Public.
It really helps to support the show. All right, Jackson, tell us about our first story today.
Absolutely. Microsoft is taking Copilot to the front lines. Literally, they're building a high-security version of their AI assistant just for the Pentagon.
That's right. It's not public yet, but Microsoft says it could be ready by summer of 2025. Which is literally right now. Recently, the tech giant publicized that it had secured a customer with more than 1 million Microsoft 365 licenses. With this announcement, connect the dots, and it seems the Department of Defense is that customer.
Right now, Copilot can't run on the government's secure cloud, but they're working to change that. If it rolls out, this would likely be the largest known deployment of generative AI in the U.S. government's federal history to date.
That's right, and it signals something much bigger. Generative AI isn't just for spreadsheets and slide decks anymore. It's entering defense.
Yeah.
We mentioned that the Copilot isn't ready yet, so I wanted to speak to that.
Okay.
In a recent blog written specifically for government customers, Microsoft wrote, quote, "For DoD environments, Microsoft 365 Copilot is expected to become available no earlier than summer 2025, as the company still needs time to, quote, ensure the offering meets the necessary security and compliance standards."
I see. So they're not just selling an off-the-shelf, AI. They're creating a custom version of Copilot designed to handle classified or top secret environments.
That's right. Yeah. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but I made a GIF. A GIF apparently is how you say it. I'm team GIF personally as well, but I made this because I thought it was kind of funny, Jackson. Tell me if you think it's funny.
If you're listening, go to our YouTube and watch this.
Yeah. Tell me if you think this is funny.
Okay.
Pentagon employees having to pretend like this is their first time using AI for their job once Copilot is available for the DoD.
Play it again.
Pentagon employees having to pretend. So it's the Drake Lil Yachty clip where they're looking at a laptop and
he's like,
Lil Yachty's like,
"Oh, bro, that's how you use it."
That's.
I knew. I should have known that.
But don't you think? I feel like they're already using this, right?
Oh, for sure. Like now they can publicly say, "This is the first time we're using it."
Yeah, right. Exactly. I've never used an AI for the DoD documents.
Yeah, just like Tulsi Gabbard never used AI to do anything else in her job ever.
Yeah, only to comb through 80,000 files to release the JFK files.
Dear chat, what is most important in here? Summarize quickly.
Yes.
But for a deeper look into the story around Microsoft's Copilot and the DoD, I spoke with Christine Yin.
My name's Christine. I work at Honeycomb. We help software engineering teams figure out what the heck their code is doing, and I am the CEO and co-founder.
So ask Christine, what kind of security and compliance standards is Microsoft working to meet for DoD use?
Well, it looks like Microsoft has their own high security cloud platform called GCC High that they are planning to add Copilot to. I assume that the Pentagon is who they're adding it to that level for. Again, I think that there are questions around accuracy and quality that a compliance and security platform or standard can't hold copilots to, that it remains to be seen how Microsoft and their Copilot product keeps up.
Okay, so they're hinting at, we have a million user customer, Microsoft was, and one of their heads of growth or something was saying that to their team. And so people caught wind of this and they were saying, well, who is this million?
They put two and two together. Like, who could be this million plus
It literally
customer?
can only be a few different organizations around the world that have over 1 million users in their organization.
Okay.
And now it seems that it's the DoD and that new partnership. And it seems like Microsoft is trying to establish themselves as the go-to Gen AI company for the DoD.
That kind of leads to my next question for Christine. Like, why would a Pentagon adoption of Copilot be such a big deal for Microsoft?
It really raises the stakes for what the level of confidence in the responses from these AI copilots in an environment where certainly I hope there's minimal tolerance for hallucination or real lack of understanding of what a copilot is saying in a Pentagon environment. So, our stance is always that for any sort of software solution, there needs to be a paper trail, there needs to be some additional system to ensure that you can see what the software is doing, why it's doing it, and go in and debug or understand the decisions an AI made when it makes them.
The 70-year-old dude who's been at the DoD for his whole life gets told, hey man, you have to learn how to use this Copilot. It's like, yeah, let me try to get this working.
Yeah. I mean, it's surprising because I feel like most we think of tech companies for embracing AI.
Right.
But the DoD, which is kind of one of the most entrenched, old school, they don't really do things that are the new tech, embracing AI on this scale at this early in generative AI's birth, I feel like is actually surprising.
And it kind of leads into my third question. What does this move say about how quickly generative AI is becoming standard across even the most secure institutions like the DoD?
I mean, I think it's a huge testament to organizations getting excited about what is possible and how it can accelerate the humans. I think a question that I hope every organization is pondering is where they expect humans to stay in the loop, where they expect humans to augment themselves with AI versus where it is acceptable, if anywhere, to entirely hand responsibility off to this AI made the suggestion and I will just accept it and move on.
Thank you to Christine Yin for being on the show today.
All right, Jackson, next story. What do you got for us?
Last night, Israel launched a massive military strike, Operation Rising Lion, on Iran, hitting dozens of targets, including nuclear facilities like Natanz, ballistic missile sites, Revolutionary Guard HQ in Tehran, and leadership figures such as the IRGC head Hussein Salami, who was reportedly killed.
That's right. Tehran saw widespread explosions. Iran shut down its airspace, and Israel activated a state of emergency amid fears of Iranian retaliation. The strike marks the most significant attack on Iran since the 1980s, spiking oil prices 10%, rattling global markets and threatening regional escalation.
And this is one of the most aggressive strikes we've ever seen in the region, and notably the U.S. says it had no part of it. Trump's State Department quickly distanced itself, even as the Pentagon scrambled to protect American forces. And why is this happening? What's the big
why did Israel decide to do this?
Yeah, don't take my word for it. This is from the IDF's X account. This is what they said. Today, Iran is closer than ever to obtaining a nuclear weapon. Weapons of mass destruction in the hands of the Iranian regime are an existential threat to the state of Israel and to the wider world. The state of Israel has no choice but to fulfill the obligation to act in defense of its citizens and will continue to do so everywhere it is required to do so, as we have done in the past. So basically, Iran is moving closer and closer to enriching their nuclear facilities. Last week, I believe on Thursday, the United States, England, Germany, France, and Israel voted against Iran to continue to enrich their nuclear programs. Iran's basically like, we see you're saying no, we're going to continue to develop this technology and for our safety.
Yep.
Israel saw this as a direct threat to their existence because in Israel's words, in Israel's mind, Iran, you fund the Houthis, you fund Hamas, these groups that hate us. If you continue to make your nuclear program stronger and stronger, we can see a world where this technology goes to those groups who hate us. And so we have to retaliate. We have to fight back and protect ourselves. That's from the Israeli state of mind. That's from Netanyahu and the IDF.
And the U.S. is saying we had no part in this, basically not endorsing Israel's decision to actually strike.
Actually saying don't strike. Do not strike Iran. President Trump and his team are saying leave Iran alone. Do not do any sort of retaliation. Or
at least allegedly, that's been the message from the U.S. But it sounds like the Iranians don't think that that's the case.
Exactly. So this is from the Supreme Leader of Iran. that Zionist regime, this is a tweet, so if you're listening,
Yes.
That Zionist regime should anticipate a severe punishment. By God's grace, the powerful arm of the Islamic Republic's armed forces won't let them go unpunished.
Yeah.
And then another tweet here is from the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran said, this is from the head of the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran. What we are witnessing today is a series of political and psychological operations directed by the Americans and pursued / implemented by 3 European countries. Specifically in this tweet, they're meaning France, Germany, and England.
Interesting. Okay, so they're basically saying not necessarily that these countries backed the decision to strike,
Right.
but that this is all a result of political and psychological operations that have been ongoing up until this point.
Yeah, so I think they're saying, like, even though Israel was the ones who, dropped these bombs and had this massive terror attack into Iran, like you four are implicit in this and were involved in these votes against our nuclear enrichment programs, and so you're all within the sheets of each other. Like the four
Right.
of y'all within Israel are
That
all
makes
working
sense.
together in this decision. And so, but this is not good. This morning, even Iran launched some drones to counter Israel's attack. About 100 drones, which were, I believe, picked apart by the Iron Dome in Israel.
Yep. And they're mostly UAVs.
UAVs, and President Netanyahu said this is not going to be a one and done kind of thing. This is a quote from him.
So he's saying we have more strikes coming.
Oh yeah, this is not just hey, this is in his words, like, we are going to back words with action and said it could last for several days.
The reason why we're talking about this on Venture Daily, a tech and venture capital podcast, is that although maybe this isn't directly tech news, a war in the Middle East between Iran and Israel will absolutely it will affect global markets. It will affect
100%.
Defense tech, as Israel's developing their own, as the U.S. is developing, and we are an ally of Israel. So we'll see how much drone technology is all of a sudden about to be used in the Middle East.
Yeah, it already is being used. And we'll keep you updated here at Venture Daily if there's any new updates in this war.
Okay, Jackson, tell us about the funding story of today.
Yes, yesterday, Anti-Metal, a New York-based SaaS and cloud cost optimization platform, just announced their $20 million Series A round, led by Ashton Kutcher's VC firm Sound Ventures. Anti-Metal uses AI to automatically reduce your company's SaaS and cloud costs without you lifting a finger. And in addition to their funding announcement, they dropped one of the coolest website launch I've ever seen. So this is, can we scroll here at all? Can we check
No.
Oh, dang.
Sorry, this is just an image of their website.
If you want to see a really, really cool website, go to antimetal.com and just scroll. It's pretty fun. Have you played with it yet?
I have not, but we're building anticipation. We're just showing you
Yes.
a little preview.
It has
of
never been easier to build software. That excites you.
It's never been easy to build software. Well, I wanted to talk about how it's not just a cool website, but there was a marketing campaign that Anti-Metal did that was heard around the internet a year ago. So does this ring a bell? A founder who used his entire $15,000 marketing budget on one stunt, branding 1,000 pizza boxes with his logo and sending them to startups and VCs in San Francisco and New York City, calling it Slices as a Service. So we got
SaaS.
a picture up here. There's boxes. They're branded with Anti-Metal pizza company on
sick.
them. They got little notes to every single company. Yeah, really smart idea. It got people posting all over tech Twitter. Influencers joined in with coordinated memes and jokes and screenshots, creating a viral loop that led back to the product. The traffic was so overwhelming, their demo booking page on day one crashed. 75 of those companies that they sent boxes to, 75 actually turned into clients day one, immediately. And it led to the company making its first $1 million in just 3 days. Masterclass and how B2B launches don't have to be boring or quiet. So pretty exciting stuff. Congrats to Matt and Shreyas and the Anti-Metal team for the funding that just got launched and just announced.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
All right, that's it for Venture Daily. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope we helped you get a little bit smarter today.
And thank you to Content Stack here in Austin, Texas, for allowing us to use your space to film this show every single day. If you like today's episode, whether on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or X, leave us a like, a comment, and a review. Throw us a 5-star rating if you think we earned it. And as always, we'll see you Monday morning on Venture Daily.